Release date, November 4th, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of TBD SportsCast College Football with your host, I'm Mason.
And I'm Isaac.
Welcome to episode 13 of Season 3. This episode entitled Week 10. Why? Duh. Because we're going into Week 10 of college football, so it's time to make our picks. And we're going to start out with our first pick, jumping right in today. Starting off with our game of the week, like usual. Isaac, tell the folks, what is our game of the week?
Folks, you wouldn't have it any other way. This week's game of the week is number 1 ranked Tennessee playing between the hedges against the number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Mason, take it over.
How about the freaking dogs, baby? All right, my bad, my fault. Yeah, it wouldn't be any other one. You got the number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 1 Tennessee Volunteers. It's in Athens. This is going to be a heck of a game, and I'm not going to lie, I'm really freaking nervous, okay? Hendon Hooker's a good quarterback, bro. What you want me to say? Like, what do you want me to say? Hendon Hooker's a good quarterback. I can't say he's not. But we've talked, all right? We've talked about this before. Something that I know about Tennessee, especially after they played Alabama, is that their defense is not good, okay? So that's one thing, all right? So with Tennessee, you got a super high-powered offense. You got a quarterback that can make huge plays downfield and a quarterback that can get out of the pocket easily in Hendon Hooker. And you got a freaking wide out with hands in Jalen Hyatt. The man makes plays. He gets downfield. I mean, we saw 3 touchdowns for 40-plus yards, 1 for 60 against Alabama. Like, Tennessee's offense played great against Alabama, but something that didn't play great against Alabama was Tennessee's defense. Tennessee's defense gave up a lot of run yardage, okay? Even their secondary, they let Bryce Young throw all over them. They could not get the quarterback who escapes the pocket. Okay, what does Georgia have that's really good on offense?
A run game.
Their freaking run game. Go back and look at pretty much every touchdown that we've scored this year after the South Carolina game. It's been running touchdowns, okay? Our run game is really strong. Kenny McIntosh, Dejon Edwards, Branson Robinson. We've got 3 really good, aggressive running backs that know how to run through people and pretty much run possess. Go back and look at the second half against Florida. After McIntosh fumbled the ball, he was running possess. He was getting 13 yards per carry, first down after first down after first down. That is the thing that Georgia does well. But also, our quarterback, Stetson Bennett, while he can make mistakes, he knows how to escape the pocket as well and does make smart football decisions. The thing that Georgia has to do in this game in order to get past Tennessee is make smart decisions. This will be the toughest defense by far that Tennessee has faced. Okay, Alabama also had a terrible secondary. Alabama actually did a pretty good job stopping the run, but that's what our defense does really well as well, is stop the run. That's what our front 7 is really good at doing. Our secondary, I'm not going to lie, has been lackluster. So was Jalen Hyatt probably going to have a couple touchdowns? Big touchdowns on Saturday? Yes, I'm guessing so. But who am I picking overall to win this game? I've laid out a lot of different reasons for why either team could win. Georgia got a great defense that's able to stop the run, something that Tennessee is already not great at anyway. Tennessee with an offense that is super high-powered, but no defense. And for that reason, and because it's at Georgia, I got the dogs. I'm going with the dogs. The spread is 8.5, and the ESPN and FPI has us at 75%. Am I still nervous? 100%. Can Tennessee win this game? 100%. Will it be close? Probably 100%, yes. That is why I'm nervous. I'm probably going to be close to a heart attack, so I better watch how much, bacon and grease I'm eating this week, because I'm going to be close, okay? Like, this is going to be an insanely good game. It's going to be close, but I think Georgia takes the edge. And honestly, I don't even call Georgia to cover the spread. I think Georgia wins by 6. I think 2 field goals is what does it. Georgia by 6. We got Jack Podlesny. He's good. That's what I'm going with. What do you got?
Well, Mason, it's hard. You're a hard act to follow, man, because you laid out every fact in the book.
Look, man, I'm thorough. Okay, and especially on this game because I'm freaking nervous. All right.
So I got to say this. I need to ask this. I don't want to get off topic, but how long have you been nervous about this game? Like, just since Tennessee, started playing well?
Since the Alabama game. Yep. And the reason is because I told you a couple podcast episodes ago, I didn't know who I was gonna pull for in that game. I wanted Alabama to win because they'd give Tennessee a loss, give us a little bit of cushion because they got to finish out if they lose to Alabama and then beat us. But I was also pulling for Tennessee because I do not like Alabama, like at all. I got a lot of respect for Saban. All right, great coach, the GOAT. He is, okay, 100%. But I don't like Alabama, okay? I hate Alabama. I hate Crimson Red. Yeah, I hate Alabama, dude. So I ended up pulling for them. But after I saw the way that they played and how explosive Jalen Hyatt can be, I was a little nervous. But now coming in this week, after seeing the way that they manhandled Kentucky last week, I'm a little nervous. Not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. So, I think that the Dogs can pull it off, but they gotta step up and play perfect. So
yeah, like you said, I think Georgia's but whoever wins is gonna have to play nearly mistake-free ball. Similar to another game we'll talk about later. But I think it's gonna be a great game. I don't think the spread will be covered on either side. Georgia's favored by 8.5. Tennessee's 8.5-point underdog. I like the winner of this game by a touchdown. Georgia's defense has been great. Like you said, the secondary maybe been a little rough. You got a high-powered team in Tennessee with Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt. Really good pass offense. They haven't quite proven to be 2019 LSU level yet, but they've played very well. They've been a great offense. Lots of shades there. And for that reason, because of the Big Orange and their success, I've got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Win the hedges, Georgia by a touchdown.
Let's go. Yes, dude. The fact that you're picking Georgia makes me a little bit more confident. And I think that's kind of the idea behind this game is that, Georgia can win this game. And so can Tennessee. But whatever team is going to win, they have to play perfect. And I mean, no penalties, no turnovers, no stupid mistakes, no, pushing quarterbacks out of bounds after they've already given themselves up. Nothing stupid like that, And, no tackling the quarterback after the whistle's been blown on a timeout, even though it was late. Looking at you, Bear Alexander. Look, I know you, it was a little late. The timeout was a little late, but you just got to play more mature, all right? And also forgot to mention that Nolan Smith, one of our, leading linebackers on the defense, is out for the season with a pectoral tear. So, but I mean, we just got Jalen Carter back. We got next man up mentality. We're going to have guys in there. Kirby's going to have them ready. And something else I said, on the podcast on Wednesday is that, we're letting Tennessee eat the rat poison. Let them think, let them know. Let them think that they're the thing, that they're it. That, they're the number one team. Let them think. All right, they'll show up in Athens, and they will be the hunted, not the hunter. All right, because that's for us. We're going hunting this week. All right, taking the Dogs, and we're going vole hunting. Anyway, but Joey is picking. Let's see here. Joey is picking the Tennessee Volunteers. The reason why is because he says defense doesn't win games anymore, which is unfortunate. The UGA offense has to step up. But he says if the UGA offense steps up, UGA wins. His official pick, though, is Tennessee. And I gotta agree with him there. We had 2 costly turnovers in the Florida game. Kenny McIntosh fumbled the ball, gave Florida the ball back at the 30-yard line. Luckily, they only came up with a field goal. But Stetson Bennett throws a big interception in the third quarter. That was not good either. So they have to play smart ball. Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington cannot be the only wideouts that we have because they're tight ends, not wideouts anyway. So I think that he's hit the nail on the head, even though I think he should pick Tennessee. But either way, Georgia wins. My favorite team goes on undefeated, and I get a dub against Joe. So whatever, we're fine. That's enough about that game. We're going to move to these other games now. We're going to move into our big Week 10 games, starting off with Texas Tech at number 7, TCU at 12 p.m. The reason we're picking this game is because Texas Tech coming off a loss last week to Baylor, which we pretty much all picked Texas Tech last week, and they got kind of manhandled by Baylor. I was kind of wishing I would have picked Baylor after that. But, they're coming off a loss. They're 4-4. TCU Horned Frogs, like we mentioned on Wednesday, 8-0, should be ranked above Bama, I think, and that was kind of the official position of TBD SportsCast. But the matchup predictor got TCU 77%. The spread is 9.5 in TCU's favor Isaac, man, who you got?
Well, Mason, I've got to say, man, given the FPI at 77%, I'm kind of shocked the spread's only 9.5. But I got to say, like we said, we all picked Texas Tech last weekend. We thought they were going to handle Baylor and Lubbock, and they didn't. I was going to say if this game was in Lubbock, I would pick Texas Tech again, and I still might. I don't know. TCU has played really well all year. They're a fast team. They can score. They can move the ball down the field. I mean, they get downfield in a hurry. They're like the Big 12 version of Tennessee, but not quite as good. But, all in all, the Horned Frogs, they've been solid. This game's in Fort Worth. Favored by 9.5. I like the Horned Frogs to cover the spread, probably by 14.
Yeah, man. And, a couple of episodes ago, I said that TCU's real test was going to be when they played Oklahoma State, when they got up against a real defense. And they were actually losing most of that game, came back and won it in overtime, which is crazy. And, now Oklahoma State's a 2-loss team after getting a butt whooping from Kansas State last weekend. The TCU Horned Frogs have proven to be, a really good football team. Like you said, they can move the ball downfield. They can make explosive plays. They can come back when they need to. They can make things happen when they need to, which is, something of a great football team. TCU 8-0, 5-0 in the conference. The spread at 9.5. I call the TCU Horned Frogs to cover the spread. I got TCU in this one. I don't think there's much more to say than that. This isn't going to be a crazy game. I'm not saying Texas Tech couldn't win this game, but I seriously doubt it, especially with it being at Texas Christian. Joey has TCU, and he says, another comeback win, ? Will Texas Tech get ahead and TCU come back and win? I will say, I think if TCU wins this game really convincingly, I say they should definitely be in the top 6 next week. But with Georgia, Tennessee happening this weekend, that may level itself out anyway. So we'll see what happens. All right, next game up, we have unranked Baylor at unranked Oklahoma at 3 p.m. Joey's going first on this one. He is picking Baylor. That's not a bad pick, especially with the matchup predictor having Baylor 52% and the spread actually being in Oklahoma's favor by 3.5, but we know that's not much. Baylor Bears 5-3, Oklahoma 5-3. Oklahoma 2-3 in the conference. Baylor 3-2 in the conference after coming off a win against Texas Tech. Yeah, man. I'm going to have to go with Baylor on this one. I call Baylor to cover the spread. I think they'll probably win by like 7-10. I don't even think 3.5, man.
I think that's a good pick, and for both of you guys, I think that's a great pick. I like Dave Aranda. I like Baylor. I like my former LSU DC. Baylor coming off a big win last week. Oklahoma, I'm not sold enough on them to pick them almost ever. Looking back to the fact that we all
especially not this season.
Exactly. I shouldn't say ever. I mean in 2022. But looking back, a few weeks ago when they played Texas, the Red River rivalry, we thought, okay, it'd be a good game, and Texas blanked them. So that alone, I've lost all faith in the 2022 Sooners. So with that being said, I'm gonna go with the Baylor Bears for a TBD triple pick, and I think they cover the spread. I think they'll probably take it by a touchdown, if not 10. I think Baylor will handle it pretty easily.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all on the same page. So. Moving on to the next game. Now, this game I put on here because I think if one of these teams win, it could shake things up. This is unranked Michigan State at number 16, Illinois at 3:30. And what I mean is if Michigan State wins, then they obviously pretty much knock Illinois out of any playoff or top 10 hopes. But if Illinois wins, then they're kind of still proving that, they can be a, powerhouse in the Big Ten, which would be pretty cool, but they'd have to get through Michigan in week 12. So that's the question. Can it happen? Maybe, but we're not talking about today. We're talking about Michigan State at Illinois. Matchup predictor, 68% in Illinois' favor. The spread is 16 in Illinois' favor. I got to tell you, I'm calling the Fighting Alini to cover the spread. I got Illinois on this one. Michigan State looked pretty terrible last week against Michigan. They had a pretty good win, honestly, against Wisconsin, but Wisconsin also sucks, especially after firing their head coach. So, yeah, I got Illinois on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mason. Michigan State, they've had a rough run. They're not a terrible team, but they're not a great team. They're under 500 for a reason. Meanwhile, Illinois is chugging at 7-1, man, and then they're looking like a potential top 15. If they win this game, they're definitely top 15. And I think depending on how the next 5 up from them do, they may be pushing top 10 come next week's CFP rankings. For that reason, I'm right there with you. I got Illinois to cover the spread. The spread 16. Yeah, I think they'll win it by 17 or more, maybe 3 touchdowns. I don't know, but Illinois definitely gets this one.
Yeah, and Joey is picking Illinois as well, but he actually brings up a good point. The reason he's picking Illinois is because too many guys got suspended from Michigan State after the little basically it was he basically 4 MSU players ganged up on a Michigan player. I mean, and they destroyed his face. So those players have been suspended, and Michigan coach Harbaugh is pretty much he is pushing for legal action. He wants to get the authorities involved. So, and I can't say I blame him. I've seen a lot of different things on this. Michigan's stadium needs 2 tunnels, which I also agree with. I don't know why they only have 1 tunnel. That does not make sense, and why there's so many fights at Michigan. And also, I can see the other side where they say, well, that Michigan player had no business being, all up in a Michigan State's, business. But for Michigan State to react that way, I think was super unsportsmanlike, super, just not being good people. And yeah, Joey's got a point there. That was totally uncalled for. But moving on, next game we have Liberty at Arkansas at 4 p.m. Literally just putting this on here because Liberty is 7-1, Arkansas 5-3, and Liberty just beat BYU a couple weeks ago. Arkansas coming in at 75% on the matchup predictor and 13.5 in the spread. Isaac, who you got?
This is a tough one, Mason, because just to let the listeners know, I did make the comment last week in our group chat that I thought the Flames might go into Fayetteville and get it done. But sitting here looking at the body of work, Liberty 7-1. They only lost to Wake Forest by 1. Not saying much. The ACC outside of Clemson is not a solid conference. I think the Flames could maybe make this one interesting. The spread's 13.5. As much as it pains me as an LSU fan, I'm still going to go with the Hogs. I think they'll probably cover the spread, maybe just barely, probably by 2 touchdowns. Liberty, if they play a perfect game and Arkansas plays like they played against Bama for the first, 2 quarters or the first quarter, maybe. But the Arkansas team that played, that fought back against Bama, Liberty has no shot. So all in all, I got the Hogs.
A lot of people have been putting a lot of hate on Arkansas, but the thing about Liberty beating BYU is, yeah, it's a great win, but BYU has been super inconsistent this season, and honestly, they're not that good. Arkansas, they've been getting a lot of flack, but they're not a terrible team. They're really not a terrible team. They're a good team playing in a tough division in a very tough conference. So I really think that Arkansas will win this game. I call them to cover the spread. I don't think the Flames will come into Fayetteville and really do anything. I think Arkansas is a very good team, and they will come out on top of this. Joey is picking Arkansas simply because of the home field advantage. So another TBD triple pick. And yeah, it's Arkansas. It's an SEC team versus a independent school. Liberty will not win this. Sorry. Anyway, next game up. This is this one could be interesting. Number 24 Texas at 13 Kansas State at 7 p.m. You have Kansas State coming off a really good win, an amazing win, a butt spanking against Oklahoma State, 49-0, and you have Texas coming off a loss from the bye week, 41-34 against Oklahoma State. So this one could definitely be interesting. Not sure. But matchup predictor got Texas, 61%, and the spread is 2.5 in their favor. So Joey's got the pick on this one. Joey's picking Kansas State to win this game against them. Man, he didn't even give a reason why. He's just picking Kansas State. And I think probably because, even the spread is showing this game is going to be freaking close. 2.5 points. You got a really good Texas Longhorns team against a really good Kansas State team. And what's crazy about this one is that both of these teams have kind of gone back and forth, right? They've had some really good freaking games, like Texas just shutting out Oklahoma and then, but also losing to Oklahoma State. and then Kansas State, destroying Oklahoma State, and then, having a loss to Tulane. So, and TCU. So I don't really know. This one's going to be really difficult to pick. I'm going with Texas. I'm going to pick Texas on this one. I think that Quinn Ewers is a really good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think that Martinez at Kansas State is a really good quarterback too. But I think Texas, especially coming off that loss and a really close loss to Oklahoma State, and coming off a bye week, I think Texas takes the advantage here and wins the game.
So this is a tough one because, number one, both of you guys have now split, and number two, the FPI is showing a 62% chance for Texas, 2.5-point spread for Texas, and the fact that it's at K-State is a whole other thing. You look at K-State, they beat Oklahoma State 48-0. 48-0, and they blanked Oklahoma State. Meanwhile, Texas gave up 41 points to them and lost by a touchdown, 41-34. Those two things alone, it just goes to show you it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a really close one. I'm so torn on who to pick for this one. With that being said, I'm going to go with the K-State Wildcats. I think Kansas State is going to get the win. I would love to see Texas get the win as the underdog. I would like to see Quinn Ewers and the Longhorns have a good game. That way they can get ready to be handled in the SEC here in a few years. But I think K-State gets the win.
Yeah, man, and I really want to pick K-State too, but I was kicking myself last week when I didn't pick Baylor to win against Texas Tech. I really think I've been saying all season that I've really been liking Texas and what they've been producing. They have an amazing win against Oklahoma, a close loss. 10 points still pretty close to Oklahoma State. I can't go against Texas, man. Just because I've seen Oklahoma State play bad. They lost to TCU, they lost to Tulane. They also beat Oklahoma, but I think that Texas beat them more convincingly. I call Texas to win this game. Moving on, this next game, one of the bigger games this week, we have number 6 Alabama at number 10 LSU at 7 p.m. And, we talked about this on Wednesday, how we thought the committee was kind of padding Bama's schedule by putting LSU at 10 because if Alabama wins this game, boom, they've beat a top 10 team after losing to a top 6 team. So it really, it's like, ooh, man, it's a tough pick. This is in Death Valley. I think that LSU is a really good football team. They're 4-1 in the conference. Alabama's 4-1 in the conference. Alabama 76% to win the game. The spread is actually 13.5 in Bama's favor. The last time I said that LSU could win at home was Tennessee, and I was gravely mistaken. But the last time that I picked against LSU, I lost. So, record be darned, I'm not going to pick Alabama and have to pull for them. LSU all day. I think Alabama's going to win. I don't know if they cover the spread. I think it'll be a pretty good game. But you also got to remember, Ole Miss has no defense, and LSU really exposed that. And I said if LSU exposed that, then they would win handsomely. But then again, Alabama's defense is better than Ole Miss. But even still, if Jaden Daniels can light up the secondary, LSU can probably play pretty close. But you're the LSU fan. What say you?
So, Mason, a couple things. Number one, looking at a 13.5-point underdog is not favorable. It's nothing new to the Tigers. We're an underdog pretty much every year against Bama. It looks like it's a 7 o'clock kickoff in Baton Rouge. It's going to be a great game. The ESPN FPI has given Alabama a 76% chance to win. I think that's way too much. I think the spread's way too big. And I'll tell you why. I say that because of the way LSU has played the last 2 weeks. Look, we got handled against Tennessee, and then Coach Kelly and Jaden Daniels, they had a talk, and Coach Kelly said, listen, go out there and trust yourself, trust your receivers. And we played Florida, man, and he just let the ball go, and he passed the ball really well. He lit the secondary up. He did the same thing to Ole Miss. The run game was working. Jaden Daniels against Ole Miss was a true dual threat quarterback. He had it was 400 and some all-purpose yards himself, or 500. I don't even remember. It was crazy. First quarterback since Joey B to throw for 5 touchdowns or have 5 touchdowns. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a good game. I'm going to pick the Tigers. I think it'll be a close one. I like LSU to win by 7. But there again, Brian Kelly's record against ranked teams in the past 12 years is 4-13. I'm obviously going to pick the Tigers, but we'll just have to see, man. It's going to be a good night in Death Valley, and I'm so glad that Tennessee Georgia is the 3:30 slot. That way, I don't have to worry about two games at once. Go Tigers.
Yeah, man. And I tell you what, the thing that scares me the most about picking LSU though is their defense. Bryce Young is an insane quarterback. We saw it against Tennessee, who also had no defense. LSU is going to have to put something. Brian Kelly is going to have to get with his DC and put something together because they're going to have to throw everything they have in defense against Alabama. Because if they don't, Bryce Young is going to throw on them all night. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to run all over them all night. And we're probably going to see a repeat of the Tennessee-Alabama game, but Alabama wins this time. But, with that being said, though, I feel like LSU is probably the last team on Alabama's schedule that can pull off a dub against them because Ole Miss is at Ole Miss, but I don't think Lane Kiffin with this team can beat Alabama. Then Alabama plays Austin Peay. That's a dub. And then Auburn in Tuscaloosa. I also think that's a dub. If it was in Jordan-Hare, I'd probably say yeah, because Jordan-Hare is a really tough place to play. But no, Alabama will win that. So it's not really much. I think LSU, if LSU gives Bama another loss, they will be out of the playoff race. And I think that could happen. Joey is picking Bama. Go figure. No explanation. It's Bama. There you go. All right. Next game up. Only put this one on here because I thought it would be hard to pick. This is South Carolina at Vanderbilt at 7:30 p.m. I really want to pick. I want to pick Vanderbilt, especially the way South Carolina played against Missouri last weekend. But Missouri actually is not a terrible team. Matchup predictor got South Carolina 68%. The spread is 7 points, which is fair. And Vandy is 0-4 in the conference. So Isaac, man, I feel like this is tough. What do you think?
Well, I'll be honest, Mason. As tough, I was going to say as tough as it may seem, it's not really. But the spread's only 7. Honestly, man, I think Vandy has potential to make it a good game. Even though it's in Nashville, it's a night game. But even though South Carolina's been up and down, I got the Cox. I think South Carolina goes into Nashville and gets the dub.
Yeah, man. I think for the sake of for my record, same thing, bro. I got the Cox in this one. I'd love to see Vandy come out on top. But Joey also has USC, and quick on that one. Just not even much there, because we want to have a little bit more time to talk about this next game. This is our 9th game, almost done. This is number 4 Clemson at Notre Dame at 7:30. This game is in South Bend. Clemson Tigers undefeated, number 4 in the playoff rankings. Notre Dame 5-3. Clemson is favored by 65% by the ESPN matchup predictor, and but only 3.5 in the spread. I think this could be a close game, and I'm gonna let Joey pick it first. He is picking, of course, go figure, Clemson, because Cade could come in again? ? Maybe, after Syracuse, Dabo said that, DJ was their guy and they just needed something to spark the offense. I think that's a cop-out. I think DJ is not the guy. I think Cade is. But he's picking Clemson, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know what, Joey? I'm picking Notre Dame. It's in South Bend, and people are like, well, it doesn't matter if they're in South Bend because they lost to Marshall. It's like, well, yeah, but they also gave Syracuse a spanking last weekend on the road at Syracuse. So I got Notre Dame in this one, and that's it.
Yeah, I think Mason, I think that's a good pick. I think that it has potential to be a really good game. I think that Clemson, they've had their struggles this year. Notre Dame also, they lost to Marshall at home. They paid, a couple $1 million for a loss. All that said, though, DJ's not the guy. I think that's a cop-out, like you said. All in all, I'm going to have to go Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. I think they're going to get it done and finally pull off that elusive big top 5 matchup. I think they're going to pull off top 5 victory in South Bend. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going against these Tigers this weekend.
Yeah, amen, dude. I've said it a lot this season. The only consistent thing about Notre Dame is how inconsistent they are, right? They went to Las Vegas on the road and gave it to BYU and won, and then the next week lost to Stanford, and then the next week won big against Syracuse. So I think they can do it again. Last time we saw Clemson in South Bend, DJ Uiagalelei was actually starting because Trevor Lawrence was out with COVID, and the Fighting Irish actually ended up winning that game. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be them. So last game we're picking quickly. This is number 21 Wake Forest and number 22 NC State at 8 p.m. I'll pick this one first. We got the spread in Wake Forest favor by 4.5, but the FPI ESPN has NC State 59%. I'm going to go with Wake Forest on this one. I think unless Devin Leary comes back in, I don't see NC State winning this. I got Wake Forest all day.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mason. I think, NC State, all things considered, they have a chance. But without Devin Leary, I agree. I think that Wake Forest goes in there considerably, and Sam Hartman leads the Demon Deacons to a victory in Raleigh.
Yeah, man. And Joey is also picking Wake Forest. His literal words, no Leary, no NC State. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the meat of it. And that's our podcast for this week. We got some good games coming up, and I'm really excited to see Georgia take on the Tennessee Volunteers. But always remember, no matter what team you pull for, if you're on God's side, you're always on the winning team. Just know that John 3:16 tells us, "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." And that is true. Jesus came to die for us, to take our sins. He took our sins on the cross, not because of how great and awesome we were, but because we were sinners who needed him, and he took our punishment. He paid the debt that we owed just because he loved us, and God sent his Son to do that, and through him we now have freedom, we have peace, we have joy that passes all understanding, and God is just so good. He wants to have a relationship with you. He wants to know you deeply and intimately. And salvation in Jesus is very close to the heart of TBD Sportscast. If you ever have any questions about that, you can always hit up our DMs on Instagram, send us a message on Facebook, or just leave a comment on this YouTube video. We'll always get back to you. We'll talk to you. And we're praying for our listeners. If you guys ever need anything, you know where to find us. And we will see you right back here next week.
Later.
Bye-bye.